Next topic that we see is biometrics. What is a biometric? Biometric is a biological feature or characteristic of a person that uniquely identifies him or her over his or her lifetime. Okay, so it is a biological feature that is characteristic of a particular person. Okay, earlier times what we were using as a biometric feature was face recognition, voice recognition, manual signatures, fingerprints. These are all methods or biometrics that we have been using. Okay. Recently, patterns in the iris of the human eye have been used. DNA has also been used. Okay. Also, some people are using behavioral traits. What we mean by behavioral traits is maybe the way when we are writing, how our hand moves, the keystrokes. Okay, that is one behavioral trait that is used. Next is the gait or the way a person walks. Okay, so all these are also being used as biometrics. Okay, now biometric forms were proposed as an alternative to complement to passwords. Okay, where are we using passwords? Passwords are being used for access control. Okay, so in such cases, instead of a person entering a password, we can use these biometrics. There are mainly two processes that are involved in biometrics. The first is enrollment and next is recognition. Okay, what do we mean by enrollment? In the enrollment phase, a subject's biometric sample is acquired. Okay, say it is a fingerprint. You take the fingerprint of a person. Okay, and that you take the essential from that fingerprint that you have, you take the essential features and we create what is called as a reference template. Okay, so we create this reference template and we store it. Okay, in some cases, more than one fingerprint is taken. Like in the bank, you will see that when your signature is to be when you're making an account in the bank, okay, they'll ask you to sign in 3 times. Okay, so that more samples are stored. So if your signature in a future date fails to match with one, they can try with the second and the third, etc. Okay, so in some cases, same way, in some cases in a biometric system, more than one reference is taken and that is stored. Okay, that is the enrollment phase. Now, where is it stored? It is stored in an authentication server. Okay, also in some cases, they may be securely stored in the e-passport or a smart card that a person is holding. Okay, so that is the enrollment phase wherein we are taking the reference templates and storing it in our database. Okay. The second phase is recognition. Okay, here what we do is a fresh sample of the person is taken. Okay, and again we create the template with the fresh sample and we check whether this template matches with any of the reference templates that we have already stored in the database. Okay, that is, we check for a match between the sample that is taken now and the reference templates that are stored in the database. So this phase is what is called as recognition. So a biometric process mainly consists of two processes: the enrollment process and the recognition process. Now, this biometric system is used under two different scenarios. One is the authentication or identity verification. The second is identification. First, what is authentication or identity verification? This is like your password system. Okay, you are going to a system. The password is stored in the system as a pair, that is login and password. Okay, as this pair, it is stored in the authentication system, in the authentication server. In a biometric system, okay, now this is stored as login ID, the biometric sample, okay, as a pair. This is similar to your password system in an authentication server. In a biometric authentication server, this pair login and biometric sample is stored. So whenever a person wants to log in, he gives in his login ID and then his biometric sample is taken. Now this biometric sample, a template of this is taken and checked whether it matches the biometric sample that is stored against this particular login ID. If it matches, then the person is allowed to log in. Otherwise, it is a non-match and he is not allowed to log in. That is what we say identity verification. Okay, so this is one scenario in which it is being used. Okay, so what are we doing? We are matching one sample with this particular sample that has been stored. That is, it is a one-to-one matching. Where do we use this? We use it for access control. The second scenario where we use this is, that is the biometric sample, is for identification. Okay, here what do? We do not, we assume that this particular sample that we are taking from the person is not available in the database at all. Okay, it is a fresh person, we assume. We take the sample, we create the template, and in the database, we have many samples that are stored. Okay, we check whether the sample that we have taken matches with any of these samples that are stored. Okay, that is, it is a one-to-many match. Okay. For example, in the police department, say they have nabbed a criminal, they take a biometric sample, they already have so many samples stored with them, they match. They try to find out whether it is the same person or not. Okay, that is one-to-many. So this scenario is being used in forensics and criminology. So biometrics are used either for authentication or for identification. Next, we see the characteristics of a good biometric. Okay, the first one is universality. What do we mean by this? We should be able to take the same biometric sample from different people. Okay, so the process should be the same. Okay, this may not always be possible. For example, suppose we are taking voice recognition as our biometric, then from a dumb person, we will not be able to take a voice sample. Okay, so universality is all humans should be able to contribute a sample of the biometric. Okay, the second characteristic is uniqueness. That is, the biometric sample you take from one person should be different from the biometric sample that you are taking from the second person. Okay, so how do you make out that this particular biometric is good? For uniqueness, if you take, best is to check with identical twins. You take the biometric sample from both the people, check whether the samples are different. If they are different, you can say that this biometric is a unique biometric. Okay. Next is permanence. Whatever biometric you are taking, that should be a permanent one. Okay, for example, the fingerprint is mostly permanent. Okay, so that is, you may take a sample now, you may verify it after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Okay, this biometric sample should not vary. Then we say that it is permanent. Okay, again here, It may not always be possible. You take a fingerprint today, tomorrow you have a cut, and you take a fingerprint at that time, it may not match with what you have already taken. Okay, so there are a few circumstances in which you can say that even fingerprint is not permanent. Okay, more or less it is permanent. Okay, same way if you go in for voice recognition, suppose you have a cold, then your voice may be different. So in such cases, voice recognition may not be possible. Okay, so we go in for more than one biometric to check these. Okay, the other issues that characterize a biometric are ease with which a biometric sample may be calculated. Okay, I think that is self-explanatory. Next is robustness. How under different circumstances, if you take the biometric sample, is it the same or not? The speed with which you are able to take the sample, the accuracy of a match. Then it should not be possible to circumvert the system. That is, the biometric sample that you take should not fool the system. Okay. Next, it should be the biometric that you take, it should be acceptable by the public, and their active cooperation in the using that particular biometric is essential. Okay, so these are the characteristics of a good biometric: universality, uniqueness, permanence, ease, robustness, speed, accuracy, foolproof system, and acceptance by the public. Next, we are talking about matching. Okay, what are the error measures? What do we mean by a match? Okay, say T1 is a template that we have just now taken, and T2 is a template that is already stored. You have taken it some time back and you have stored. Okay, you try to find out the difference between the two templates. Okay, that is what we say, the distance between the two templates, T1 and T2. Okay, now how do you find the difference? You have different means. For example, iris scan, if you take. Okay. Now, the scanning, whatever you do, is finally brought down to a 2048-bit string. Okay, which we call as the iris code. Okay, it is, iris code is nothing but a 2048-bit string. Okay, that means it consists of 2048 zeros and ones. So you take T1, T2, you compare how many ones have changed to zeros or how many zeros have changed to ones. Okay, that is what we call as the Hamming distance. Okay, now the closer this value, the distance that we calculate, Hamming distance is one way that is used for iris scan. You have different methods for different biometrics. Okay, so the smaller the value of this distance, the closer the match. Okay, so this is the way in which we try to match. Now, what is this matching process? Okay, T1 is the template derived from a fresh biometric sample. T2 is, say, the stored sample. Okay, tau is the threshold. That is, with the difference can be within this limit. Okay, the limit is tau. So we calculate the distance between T1 and T2. If it is less than tau, then we say that the individual is X. Okay, this is the person. Otherwise, we say that this is not the person. Okay, now the system might reject the individual's claim to being X. X itself, the same person is giving his sample, but the system may reject him. That is what is called as false reject. It is actually the correct person, but then the system, it is finding the distance to be greater than the threshold and so is rejecting. So that is called as false reject. The probability of a false reject is called as false reject rate, FRR, or the insult rate. Okay. Conversely, the other can also happen. A person who is not X may claim to be X. Okay, and the system finds that the distance is within the threshold and accepts this other person as X. Okay, that is called as a false accept. Okay, the probability of a false accept is called as the false accept rate, FAR, or the fraud rate. Okay, both insult rate and fraud rate should be as small as possible, because both false rejects and false accepts are error conditions. We don't want to accept a person who is not X as X, or we don't want to reject a person X wrongly. Okay, so both false rejects and false accepts are error conditions, and we should keep our biometric system should have a low insult rate and a low fraud rate. Next, we see a fingerprint. A fingerprint is an impression left by the ridges and valleys at the tip of an individual human finger. Okay, what we find is these ridges and valleys, they exhibit distinct patterns. Okay, each individual has got a different pattern. Okay, and these patterns are somewhat permanent. Most of the time it is the same. Okay, maybe a cut occurs, or depending on some work, it may, the profession that you have, it may change. Okay, or if you apply something, a cream or a mehndi, etc., it may vary. Okay, but otherwise it remains permanent. Okay, the image of a fingerprint of a human, how do you take? You place the finger on a scanner. Physically, you place it on a scanner and the scanner reads it. Okay, we have different types of scanners, like optical scanners, you have solid state scanners, you have ultrasound scanners. Optical scanners and solid state scanners are what we generally use. Okay, in the recognition phase, if you take, the distinctive patterns are identified by the ridges that are there. Okay, these are what are called as singularities. Okay, we have different types of singularities. Okay, the three main types are arches, loops, and whorls. What are arches? In arches, if you see, the ridge starts from one end of the finger and it forms a curve. One second. It starts at one end of the finger, forms a curve, and finishes at the other end. Okay, this is what is called as a arch. Okay, next we have a loop. Here you see that it starts, the ridge starts at one end of the finger, okay, forms a loop, curve, and ends at the same end. Okay, here you see it starts at one end, forms an arc, and finishes at the other end. Okay, that is an arch. If it finishes at the same end, it is called as a loop. The third singularity is a whorl. Here you find closed circles or spirals. Okay, those are what are called as whorls. These are different patterns that you see on a fingerprint. Okay, so these are being used for as biometric samples. Okay, one approach to fingerprint recognition is to compare the type, the number, and coordinates of the singularities between the input and stored templates. Okay, there are many mechanisms, many devices that are being used for doing all this. Okay. Next biometric that we see is iris scan. Okay, the iris is a thin, opaque diaphragm of smooth muscle situated in front of the human eye. Okay, this is the example that you have. Okay, the figure of the iris, of an iris pattern. Okay, the muscles of the iris govern the amount of light entering into the eye by controlling the size of the pupil. Okay, in the presence of bright light, the pupil contracts so that less light enters the eye, and when there is dim light, the pupil dilates. Okay, now what are the characteristics of this iris? One characteristic is the color. Color ranges from blue to dark brown. Okay, from blue to dark brown depending on the amount of pigmentation. But more than the color, what differentiates from one person to another are the intricate patterns on the iris, okay, which is used to identify the individual. These patterns include furrows, ridges, rings, and freckles. Okay, now if you take the eye color, it is genetically inherited, okay, from the parents to the children, etc., etc. But iris patterns are not genetically inherited. So if you take even identical twins, okay, the iris patterns of both are totally different because it is not genetically inherited. Iris pattern is not genetically inherited. Okay, so that is why iris pattern has formed an important biometric uh, sample. Okay, now the patterns of the iris are also stable with age. Okay, these two factors are the main reasons why iris scans are being used. Okay, another reason is you saw that to take a fingerprint you have to place it on a scanner, whereas for iris scanning, it is a non-invasive technique. Even from a distance, maybe even 1 meter, as you pass through in an airport, you will be able to take the iris scan. Okay, we use infrared illumination in this case. Okay, as we have already said, the pattern that is available in the iris is brought down to a 2048 bit string, which this iris signature is called as the iris code. And in any iris scan, the iris code is taken and stored, and iris code is used as for the biometric recognition. Okay, so this completes our topic on biometrics. Okay, we have seen what the characteristics of good biometric. That is again an important question that is being asked. Okay, then we have seen the error measures, and we have seen two case studies, fingerprints and iris scans. Short notes on these are generally being asked. Okay, yeah, with this we finish this topic.